Hey guys, Josh here. So today we're going to discuss why Season Discovery Phase 3 is boring. Now, a lot of the player base have said this is the phase that's one of the worst, it's boring, the raid changes are bad and everything like that. I want to really highlight this, that in Classic in particular, this is where the grind really starts for a lot of different reputations at that level 50 mark. So I feel like it's both the game itself and so as well for not using these opportunities to make it less boring basically as well. This is the part where you get a lot of your consumables, a lot of reps that you can grind, and a lot of world buffs as well. And I felt like this could be handled a lot better. And also we're going to go through the ways to make it a bit more exciting. So let's say, why was it boring? Okay, so the first one was definitely a raid choice. Sunken Temple is one of the worst dungeons in Classic. And people only ever did it for their class quests, and they never, ever went to that place again. Albeit they made it a lot better, like making it a lot smoother and a lot easier to get in. I know the first 2 weeks were harder, so they made it a lot easier. That was fine. But Sunken Temple is very boring, very dull, very drab. It's horrible, and it's still even horrible even with all the changes. It's still a long grind. It can take, I think, the quickest I've seen it done is in 27 minutes. Generally, most runs take 30 to 45 minutes. It's not really that fun, and it's not really that inspiring either, and there was not enough tweaks to make it exciting, kind of like No Reagan and Black Panther Depths before it. Now, another one is the reuse of the STV Battle Arena. So they changed that to new coins, basically, and there was no PvP area. And I want to highlight as well that you do have Ashara that was never utilized, and it could have been possible to just utilize that instead. Because Ashara has a lot of areas in particular that are not used for anything. There's no quests involved or anything like that as well. Or you can even use the quest mobs elsewhere. And also, there's also a few broken quests in Ashara which you can just clean it up and have a different zone or anything, little event there in particular. Also, the Emerald's Warden questing becomes stale incredibly quickly, and it's very monotonous, and there's no real plot to it. Okay, there's like no real plot on why the Emerald Wardens are there, what they are doing. There's no build up, storyline of what they're trying to combat in particular, other than if you go do the crafting chain, there is some sort of like plot there. But like you don't get extra plot with the reputation, kind of like the Molten Front back in Cataclysm, where every single reputation, every single point, you got a new area and a new daily to do, and also a bit of storyline behind it as well. This really could have been built up here for Emerald Wardens in particular, of what they are doing here, what they're trying to prevent. Also, the reputations at level 50, such as Timber Hold, Argent Dawn, Foreign Brotherhood, and Hydraxan Waterlords, they're not used at all. They have not changed since Classic, and all of them are just killing mobs, get rep, and that's it. Foreign Brotherhood is killing mobs and gathering, and then also going into BRD and getting Dark Iron Residue. But that's pretty much it. There's no difference to it. It's just the same. I feel like these reputations could have been used similar to Emerald Wardens, where they give a variety of quests and improved on. They even have their own little sub-zones within Searing Gorge or the areas that they are, to really build up this reputation, make this reputation a lot more fun. Because at the moment, it's just 20-man groups going around for Hydraxan Waterlords, killing mobs until you get 599 out of Honored. You could even build a little storyline as well. But that's it. The Dark Moon cards available, especially from the Wild God quest chain in Felwood, are completely RNG and limited to 5 per hour due to dungeon lockouts. Is similar to a gacha system and time gate system in particular. I didn't really like this at all. And I think the new DMF cards in particular should have really been available elsewhere as well. Now let's go through. The Exalted Reputation Trinket for Emerald Wardens is useless, okay? It used to be good, but now it's shit. It only works in Ashen Vow. It didn't really go to any other areas. Like, they really should have done it for Duskwood, Hinterlands, and Feralis. And they really should have done a lot more of it in particular. The raid size increased from 10 man to 20 man. Well, it ruined a lot of guilds and forced a lot of merges, and essentially what happens is some merges go well, some merges go badly, and it's led to a lot of people leaving this game. The amount of consumables as well has increased substantially. I mean, we've got an extra world buff to deal with from Felwood. We've also got a lot of elixirs and stuff like that that are being introduced, such as Elixir of the Mongoose. And also, we have to farm demonic runes and root tubers, mainly demonic runes, to gather as well from the Satyrs. There's a lot more consumables, which is a lot more boring, and nothing was done to really alleviate that in particular. Now, the Exalted reputations with the Durotar and Azeroth logistics people is just bad. Okay, it's just bad. It's a new bad, but all you got was a 18 slot bag, okay? That's it. No additional items to help you raid or anything like that. Just a new bag. And I think that's boring, and I think that's bad. There's also lack of creativity with a lot of the runes. A lot of the runes are just repasted talents from previous expansions, and they haven't really gone, other than the mage class, of course, of updating, increasing their healing repertoire. They haven't gone and trying to make a new class combo either. Trying something different of a lot of the classes out there, warrior healer maybe, or anything like that. That hasn't really been that much done since phase 1. Also, best specimen slot items locked behind RNG and time gate mechanics, such as warlocks with the Imp specimen slot in particular, which is the dagger for warlock tanks. And there's also a affliction warlock trinket as well, which is locked behind Fellscars. So pretty much you wait 20 minutes. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And the Fellscars are really hard to get, and it's not very easy to get either. You have to coordinate it and make sure everyone maximizes the most out of it, which is really annoying. Now let's talk about how to make these mechanics more exciting. I've got to say, foresight with the devs is much needed, because the devs need to know at max level what sort of access are the players going to get to certain reputations and whatnot. Because if you have that foresight, you can develop good endgame content to make sure that the player is entertained for a particular amount of time. The Sword Phase 3, it was less than a month, maybe even 1 or 2 months, until the player base is just like, nah, we can't really handle this anymore. Previously, Sword Phase 2 and Phase 1, people were still playing about 1 or 2 months afterwards as well. And his cheap gimmicks of just giving people level increases isn't going to help. Like, leveling increase rate, it's not going to help. They needed more variety of content. I touched on this previously as well, where they should have mini zones for Argent Dawn, Timber Hold, for Brotherhood, Emerald Wardens, and Hydrax and Warlords could really be used here. They could have really little quests and introduce little story mechanics as well that build up their story going onwards, okay, into Molten Core. So for Brotherhood, going to, Molten Core as well. Hydrax and Warlords, the same thing, where you can build up to their attack on Molten Core. Argent Dawn could have been more of the preparation for trying to treat the Western Plaguelands in particular, and now they're going to go for it, and now they're going to go going forward, and what they're preparing for in particular. And last one, Timbermore Hold could have been utilized of trying to get the Timbermores uncorrupted from the Fell in particular. But I feel like these weren't really used at all, and they just kept the same things from Classic, which is just a boring grind fest, and you can really only get away with it back in the old days. Now, I do suggest a similar system, such as the Molten Front subzone as well. That could have been utilized. We have a separate zone for like the Argent Dawn, or you have a separate zone for Timbermore Hold, or even for Hydrax and Warlords as well, to prepare them for the fight for Molten Core. Even preparing, let's say, the Aquacandescence, even though you don't get to use it yet, preparing that would have been a good storyline as well. I also highlight as a bit of an example as well, Hydrax and Warlords, that you could fight fire elementals, earth elementals, air elementals in various different quests. You have a quest unique for each profession, and you also could unlock and utilize potential story quests at specific reputation points for the Hydrax and Warlords. You can also keep the grind in there as well for people who like to do the grind, but also build a story for Sword Phase 3 leading to Molten Core would have been the better option as well. Now, Sunken Temple shouldn't have been a raid. Raids should have been kept to 10-man. Sunken Temple is one of the worst dungeons in Classic. I don't know who possessed to make a raid out of it, because it's not going to make it any better. It is absolutely a slop of crap. Moradon and ZF should have been utilized instead. These are strong raids with strong story components, especially Moradon as well, and ZF as well. You could use Gadgetson as the home point, and also the Desolate Planets as a home point. Because your Jumper Island is just so out of the way for anyone to fly to. Either you just add a flight path there, or make it a sanctuary zone as well, and that's pretty much it. Emerald Wardens could have been utilized a lot better. They could utilize a vendor for consumables or enchants using those emerald chips. It encourages people to utilize that reputation in particular, go to Emerald Waters in particular, to do quests there to get consumables in a different way, rather than just surfing the AH non-stop. So you could have got, let's say, a major healing potion which you can use in the raid, or a consumable which you can use in the raid as well, where you have multiple ways to access things instead of just one, such as, the Italian Mojo, you have to go into the raid to get. The Azeroth and Durata vendors could have also contained consumables as well for getting Exalted, because pretty much getting Exalted with this rep is just getting an 18 slot bag and that's it, and it's pretty crap. Also as well, you could have utilized Ashara as a PvP event, or bring Alterac Valley forward. Very easy things to do. I prefer using Ashara, given the fact that there's nothing in Ashara to utilize, as it's pretty much a dead zone and an under construction zone that was never actually completed. Also, DMF cards should have not been locked in just dungeons. You should have had them available in the overworld as well, where there's certain rare beasts that do spawn at certain times, which you can pick up a wild offering off. a lot of people have been limited on DMF cards in particular is because they've been locked out, and a lot of people have exploited mechanics to make sure that our lockout for their account doesn't exist. Anyways, guys, last but not least, I'd like to thank everyone who's watched this video and shared this video. I like also my guildies taking the time out. I actually talk to my guildies about what they found boring, what they found exciting, and this is how I built a lot of my variety of feedback and a lot of criticism in particular. Also, my subscribers and viewers on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter, really appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram below. And hope you guys have a lovely day, and give me your feedback on why you found Solid Phase 3 boring and what you feel can be utilized to fix it. Have a great day, guys.